Just imagine, you are the last queen of the ancient Egypt land. And be aware that the world you ruled is going to vanish. In 30 BC, the reign of Cleopatra VII was ending. Rome had defeated the Egyptian and Mark Antony's forces. Alexandria was besieged. The Ptolemaic kingdom, which had been the rulers of Egypt for almost 300 years, was on the verge of ending. Cleopatra had been one of the most powerful rulers of the ancient Mediterranean. She had joined forces with Julius Caesar. Later, she was very close to Mark Antony. Together, they stood up to Rome's expanding might. But now, everything was in shambles. Mark Antony was dead. Roman forces controlled Alexandria, Taposiris said. And Cleopatra felt that her own destiny was sealed. According to ancient writers, Cleopatra took her own life. She was just 39 years old. But what happened next would create a mystery that has survived for more than 2 millennia. Ancient sources say they were buried in a sumptuous, temple-like mausoleum, a tomb fit for a queen. But, unlike the tombs of many ancient rulers, Cleopatra's burial place was not preserved in historical record. For centuries, everyone knew she had been buried somewhere in Alexandria. Then, the trail disappeared. For a time, Cleopatra's mausoleum was thought to have existed within Alexandria. Ancient writers tell of her burial. Roman historians lit up the last chapter of her life. But Alexandria was changing. Earthquakes struck the ancient city. Buildings collapsed. The coast slowly moved. Sections of the ancient royal quarter ultimately sank beneath the Mediterranean. The palace block belonging to Cleopatra's family dynasty was eventually lost beneath the water. And somewhere in this archaic terrain may have been Cleopatra's tomb. But there was another possibility. Some 50 kilometers west of Alexandria, there stands the ancient site of Taposiris Magna. The temple complex was dedicated to Osiris and Isis. And Cleopatra had closely associated herself with the goddess Isis. This led to archaeologist Kathleen Martinez putting forward a speculative theory. Maybe Cleopatra's tomb was hidden in Taposiris Magna. Excavations started yielding interesting findings. Coins with the image of Cleopatra were found. Old tunnels were found. Burials were discovered. And they even tunneled under the Med in the vicinity as well. The site was real. The link to Cleopatra period was very real. But there was a hitch, a big one. There had been no confirmed tomb of Cleopatra found. A number of archaeologists doubt the queen lies at Taposiris Magna. Some think the historical evidence leads in a different direction, to Alexandria itself. Perhaps the place of her burial lies under the city of today. Or perhaps it lies beneath the sea. The riddle had grown more profound more than 2 millennia later. Cleopatra's tomb has yet to be found. Archaeologists have sought ancient Alexandria. They've been reading historical texts. They have drilled marinized rock to reach submarine caverns, or they have studied sunken ruins. Also, they have dug at Taposiris Magna. The findings have been captivating. But none of them has offered definitive, unequivocal proof. In excavations made recently at Taposiris Magna, archaeologists say they found hundreds of coins, some featuring the face of Cleopatra. They also unearthed other artifacts from Ptolemaic and Roman times. A sunken ancient harbor was also demarcated in the vicinity. These discoveries indicate that the area was bustling with activity in Cleopatra's era. But that doesn't mean that Cleopatra was buried there. Other fact finders point to Alexandria. Ancient sources indicate that the mausoleum of Cleopatra was in the city. And parts of ancient Alexandria, including the place where the royal palace was, are now beneath the sea. Where Cleopatra's tomb is near the palace, it may have sunk, or destroyed, or under layers of building work carried out later on. And even if they find a royal tomb, archaeologists still might not know if it's hers. One question would remain. How could they be sure it was Cleopatra's? Include an inscription could fix everything. A royal dedication. Her name. Her titles. Maybe a chronicle that endured. Without such evidence, even a magnificent tomb might be just a figment of imagination. Today, the search goes on. Under the streets of Alexandria. Among the ruins of Taposiris Magna. And perhaps, beneath the Mediterranean itself. Cleopatra was one of the most famous women in the ancient world. Her kingdom disappeared. Her palace disappeared. And somewhere, her grave was obliterated along with them. Over 2,000 years have passed. But then, why? Where is Cleopatra? Perhaps her tomb has been obliterated forever. Maybe it lies under the streets of the modern Alexandria. Maybe it lies under the city. Perhaps it rests beneath the sea. Or so, somewhere in Egypt, but nowhere in the Bible. There is still a sealed chamber waiting in darkness. Waiting for archaeologists to open the final chapter of the last queen of Egypt.